Welcome back to D&T in the 773. My name is Tyler, and I'm joined alongside.
Daniel, how's it going, everyone?
What's up, man? How are you?
Well, yesterday was one of the best days of my life. That's all I
That
can say.
was that was it was just amazing. Me and Daniel yesterday we're at Soldier Field with all the other Chicago Bears fans, a few buddies as well. We were going to the draft party at Soldier Field. And it was super cool experience. You're allowed to walk on Soldier Field at the grass there. You get to go into the locker room and see all the coaches and the players' locker room stalls right there. And it was just a great time. It was awesome. We really did truly had a great time at Soldier Field. And Dan, I don't know what to say, but I woke up with a really bad case of bear down this morning.
Big case of bear down. Had to call
Big
the
case of
doctor.
bear down.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yesterday was incredible. There's a bunch of players, roaming around. Roshan Johnson, we walked past. I know DJ Moore had a moment when he was in the locker room. A bunch of the players were there. Just unlimited amounts of Bears fans. We've been there 3 straight years in a row. This year
Mm-hmm.
had the most people for sure, but it's still a good amount of people to where we can enjoy ourselves. Toss a football around. It was certainly one of the best days of the year. I look forward to it every year. And this year more than most, obviously we talked about in the last podcast that this year, we had number 1 and number 9. Like I don't think we'll ever get that chance again. So it was more than enough. The last year we were there for Darnell Wright when he got picked at number 9.
Mm-hmm.
Having the number 1 pick, it was amazing. So the big thing that me and Tyler were focused on was the atmosphere that was brought to us when we were there at the event when the first overall pick was coming in. That was just to hear the entire city of Chicago cry at one moment when they announced the pick. We all knew who it was going to be, right? But insane moment.
It it was truly an amazing experience being at Soldier Field. Everybody had their phones out for the number 1 pick. Obviously, we all knew weeks ago, months ago, who the number 1 pick would be, and it was just super cool. Everybody having their phone out. The reaction at Soldier Field was awesome to draft Caleb Williams number 1 overall. So let's get right to it. Obviously, let's kind of dive right into round 1 of the NFL draft. We'll talk about the Bears picks as well. Obviously, we had 2 picks in the first round. First pick, number 1 overall, no shocker, Caleb Williams from USC. He is gonna Bears management, Bears players, they are shifting their focus to Caleb Williams, and it's gonna be. I'm like I keep saying it, but I keep sound like a broken record. But I'm just beyond pumped as a Bears fan right now. You could
Yeah, it's
tell that
about time.
you could tell that he really wants to go to a city that appreciates football, that the fans thrive for football. And that podcast that I watched, The Pivot with Ryan Clark, they kind of talked about that as well. And Caleb's like, I want fans that are very passionate. Like if I lose, that maybe I'll get criticism on Twitter, but if I win, they're supporting me for the ride. And Caleb Williams coming to Chicago, he's going to get all the fan support, especially when we get those big wins at Soldier Field. Praying and hoping we get to beat the Green Bay Packers twice this year. That would really make being a Bears fan this year just
It's a big
truly
deal.
phenomenal. Yeah.
And it's insane the amount of people yesterday that had jerseys for Caleb Williams, right, with number 13. We'll dive into what number he's chosen next, but it's just so funny to see that the push, right, the push for the new
Yeah.
QB. We had the same atmosphere for Justin Fields. We really like to support, the main play caller on our field. He's gonna love being in Chicago. It's gonna be the best place for him.
I was working the Cubs game a few days ago, and I was walking down the concourse, and some kid that was wearing a Justin Fields jersey duct taped the 3 to the end of the 1, and he put the duct tape on the top and put Williams. I was
Mm-hmm.
laughing so hard because obviously
It's that easy.
everybody knew who's going to be number 1 overall. Which Caleb Williams, welcome to Chicago. We were super excited to have you, and you're coming to the best city in America. You really are for the football. We are very passionate. We love our football. And, obviously we'll kind of dive into it a little bit later too, but hopefully by 2028, we should have a brand new stadium in the city of
Yeah, new
Chicago too.
stadium.
Mm-hmm.
And this one report I really like that Schefter put out this morning. He said that Chicago's number 1 overall pick, Caleb Williams, broke the Fanatics record for draft night merchandise sales, which beat Caitlin Clark just a week prior.
That's crazy.
That's go Bears. Like we haven't had that kind of moment in a while. Fields was a big uprising for us. Like we were all very
Mm-hmm.
excited to get the gear and have a new number 1 player, but this is not what I expected. I am so thrilled, and I could just tell it's all the Chicago fans. Chicago
Yeah.
fans mixed with a couple USC fans, right? Some
Mm-hmm.
California fans. Everyone across the globe is rooting for Caleb, especially us.
Bears fans are rooting for Caleb, and Caleb, welcome to the city of Chicago. We're beyond
Yeah.
excited to have you.
And we could
So
touch a little
then,
bit
yeah,
on the stadium if you wanted to. I mean,
yeah,
everyone's seen the updates. Everyone's seen the new things. It's going to be a dome with glass at the top, so it's going to be like sunlight inside, and it's going to be pretty big. We're not going to, I guess, dip into it too much, but turf, unlimited
yeah. I know
concessions, a lot of walking area.
a lot of people aren't too happy about having turf instead of grass, but it's
Yeah,
just the way domes are. The only stadium I believe that kind of brings the grass in, I believe that's Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas. They plant the grass outside, or I believe that's SoFi. It's one of those two stadiums, the brand
mm,
new stadiums, where they plant the grass outside and then they wheel it in, so like the players are actually using grass. But that's a very hard challenge, to accomplish,
it is. It
especially with a
is.
dome too. But
So it's
yeah,
unfortunate, but we stay excited. Yeah.
we'll get to the obviously the new stadium in a little bit with the after we kind of go over what happened yesterday in round one, and we'll talk about the stadium. We'll give our reactions as well. So let's go over it. So obviously, number one, Caleb Williams to the Bears, and then we had to wait about 8 picks. To be honest, Dan, like there was not too much. Obviously, too many trades go down the top 10. There was only
Yeah.
one trade, and that was the
Yeah.
10th pick that got traded.
Not as many trades as I thought there was going to be. I thought New England was going to be very pushy to trade their pick. I thought the Chargers were going to try to move up from where they were. So not trades at all. And I remember reacting to it with you and being like, "Wow, these are picks that we kind of could have guessed, but we went a little bit crazier." I'd say.
So it kind of all depended on what would happen in the middle of the draft for what would the Bears do at number 9. Would we trade back where we sit where we are? And the big team that was the big like question mark with the Atlanta Falcons at number 8. And it obviously in the middle like 5 and 6 as well. That was a big, question mark as well. So number 5, obviously the Chargers, there was rumored they would trade with a different team so that somebody could JJ McCarthy might go 5. That did not happen. So the Chargers at 5 got Joe Alt. So that switched everything. So that was like the original, mock draft months ago that Joe Alt would
Exactly.
go to the Chargers. But the way the Chargers were with Keenan Allen and other players as well, everyone thought they were all trade happy and they would just do whatever, they needed to do.
Yeah. I mean, Harbaugh, there was a report that Harbaugh's never traded up before, ever. And so that's kind of my report where I was like, new team, struggling offense. Like, they're going to need to push for a wide receiver that they wanted. I was incorrect, but they still got the guy they wanted, apparently.
Yeah. So, and then after that, 6, I know there's a big question mark as well. Are the Giants moving away from Daniel Jones? Are they going to build around Daniel Jones? And they made that decision to build around Daniel Jones and get Malik Neighbors. So that's the second wide receiver off the board. We'll get into who got drafted earlier. Obviously, if you guys know a little bit about the NFL, Marvin Harrison Jr. did go to the Falcons the Cardinals at 4. But yeah, so Malik Neighbors. So now at that point, the Titans were supposed to get Joe Alt. That was like the whole thing to help Will Levis. And the Titans decided I feel like this is a little bit of a shock for them. They did still go offensive tackle because Joe Alt, because they still needed protection, but they went with J.C. Labram, correct?
Latham. That's
Latham,
true.
Latham,
So that
yeah,
was
sorry.
I think the second overall pick for any offensive lineman. He was definitely regarded, highly. So I think they had him on the board. They probably wanted to go with Joe Alt, but they got him instead. I think they're happy. That's kind of the sensation that like they just needed a certain position to be filled. And I think it's an excellent pick for them. I don't think a lot of people would have guessed that, but
Yeah.
that's the
So
direction
that big question mark afterwards. So obviously offensive tackle goes to the Titans. Who's going to be for the Falcons? Are they going to go wide receiver? It was kind of rumored. They did pick up a bunch of receivers in the offseason. They got Darnell Mooney from the Bears. They got a few other players as well. And, they have a lot of key. They have Kyle Pitts. They have Drake London. So people are like, oh, will they add one more receiver to that core? There's also rumors that they'd go defense. They'd go Dallas Turner, maybe Jared Verse, but Jared Verse slipped a little bit in this draft. But they shocked everybody. They shocked me.
Everybody's surprised.
I couldn't believe it. We were sitting there. I'm obviously, we after kind of the in the middle, we wanted to grab a quick bite to eat. So we went and grabbed and got some sat in the seats, and we were watching. And all of a sudden, the rumors they're flowing around that the Falcons might go quarterback. They just signed Kirk Cousins to a 4-year deal that is like one of the biggest quarterback contracts right now. And I basically know what happened. A little bit. Obviously I'm not an expert by no means, but I think I know why the Falcons decided to go quarterback. They decided to draft with number 8, Michael Penix Jr. from Washington. He's a great quarterback, but the question mark right now is Kirk Cousins. They gave him all that guaranteed money, and he did just tear his Achilles too. So who knows if he's going to play the next 4 years.
Yeah.
Obviously Falcons fans are hoping that he can ride for 4 years, being the quarterback for their team. But at that point, it's just they drafted a quarterback.
Yeah.
They shocked everybody. I'm reading, TikTok, I'm reading Twitter right now, and I'm watching all these fans that are, throwing their pillows at the wall and, almost breaking their TV because all the Falcons fans wanted Dallas Turner. They wanted
Yeah.
Dallas Turner from Alabama.
And that'd be immediate help for them, right? So you build a team with Kirk Cousins, and they're looking to win now. He has a 4-year deal. I think the idea is that, right, he's not particularly injury prone. He did come off a big injury. But I think they're going to do the Aaron Rodgers route, right? The Rodgers love route where they have him, at least Kirk, start for 2 years. Kirk has 2-year minimum. So I think, 2 years are going to get a feel for how well he's going to be playing with this team. And in the background, there's Michael Penix, right? I don't think it's a horrible draft trade or a horrible draft idea for them. I think it works out in the long run. I just wish they went something more win now because I think Kirk Cousins now is sitting here like, hey, you paid me $100 million for 4 years. So
Yeah.
this guy behind me, I hope he doesn't get any minutes, but we'll see.
I think it's just a backup plan for him, just in case Kirk Cousins, obviously Aaron Rodgers is going to be coming back from Achilles injury. So is Kirk Cousins. So we'll see how that happens. I know modern science has changed a little bit so people can kind of come back within a year of Achilles injury. Before it was you're out for almost 2 years with Achilles. But now, so that's kind of their backup plan. I got to look up how old Michael Penix is. I think people were kind of joking around with Michael Penix saying that, he's kind of stayed in college for a little bit. So if he does sit on the bench for 4 years or something, he's 23 years old. He would start, at 27 with that team. But it's not a bad idea for him to sit and learn and watch behind Kirk Cousins, who's a really good quarterback.
True.
And yeah. So there we go. Falcons took Michael Penix Jr. at 8. So at number 9, this was the big question mark. Are the Bears going to go edge rusher? Are the Bears going to go wide receiver? And Brian Poles made the decision to stack that offense a little bit more and go with Rome Odunze at number 9 out of Washington. And let me tell you, Dan, how was that reaction at Soldier Field yesterday? Wasn't that awesome?
It was surreal because I know the first thought I had in my head was Tyler was right. Tyler kept saying this, throughout the offseason, the last few months, that this is the guy that he wants, right? Before I even watched tape of who he was, Tyler knew who this guy was, and he was showing me the tape. So it's just a surreal moment to see, the work in action. Like you see someone, you see them connect, you see him get on the same flight as Caleb Williams. All these intricate details that are coming together to see him get drafted. And I just watched today the call that Poles made to him, and he said, "Hey, Eberflus was talking about the chemistry that he's already building with Caleb, so I'm not surprised. This is part of the 2 players that I thought the Bears would draft. He slipped to us. I didn't think Atlanta was going to take him anyway, but gosh, just what a moment in Soldier Field. Everyone screaming out. Everyone wanted this guy. I can't picture a single person in Chicago that said, no, I would have rather had Dallas Turner or someone else, offensive lineman. No, this guy was the guy, and I think he's going to help us out entirely.
He is ours now. He's Bear, and he's going to be paired with Caleb Williams and Keenan Allen and DeAndre Swift and DJ Moore and Gerald Everett and Cole Kmet. The list just goes on. Last year I couldn't go on with a list. Now it's crazy that I can just keep rambling the names that are going to help this offense. Khalil Herbert, you got Roshan Johnson. This is going to be it's amazing for the Bears right now.
Oh yeah, and I'm excited.
I read reports that apparently teams wanted to trade number 9 with the Bears as soon as Michael Penix Jr. got taken by the Falcons. And Brian Poles said, we're not screwing this up. We're taking that pick. We're taking Rome Odunze, who's going to be a stud wide receiver for the Bears. And it's just, it's amazing. It's great.
Yeah.
So yeah, a little bit about Rome Odunze, just real quick. I know last podcast we kind of talked about it, but he's only 21 years old. And he's 6'3". He's a big body receiver. He ran a 4.45 40 at the combine. He is the lowest drop rate out of any wide receiver in this class at a 3.3% drop rate in college. Also had a 75% contested catch rate. And then also players this is crazy player comparison. Larry Fitzgerald, the one and only.
Yeah, putting this on the big screen, right?
Yeah.
At Soldier Field, everyone's seeing this, and I just my eyes exploded. Larry Fitzgerald, that's a crazy comparison to make, right? It's one of the greatest
Hmm.
receivers of all time. I'm so down for that road. If he's going to become a Larry Fitzgerald,
Yeah.
who knows? He might be a little bit better, but that's just such an exciting moment for Chicago, especially at the number 9 pick that got just handed to us. Like, this is just such a
Yeah.
surreal moment. And he was the third wide receiver picked in the first round, obviously,
Hmm.
behind Harrison and Neighbors. So he has upside, right? He has the upside of being a top 5 wide receiver into the league into his first year. We've seen a lot of receivers, that happen to them. He will be third in the pecking order. I heard a lot about people saying how it's not the best fitment for him, especially being so young, but I think that's perfect for him, right? Give him a year, especially if Allen leaves in
I
a year,
agree.
if Allen plays 2 years. A year into Keenan Allen is going to make him the best route runner he possibly has, and I think that's the one issue that he had in college. He's a bit sluggish, he's a bit slow, but I think Keenan Allen's going to help him with that because Keenan's got size. He's not the fastest receiver, but he always catches the ball, contested catches, wide open runs. He's a dog. So I'm
And he
very
was
excited for that comparison.
exactly. And he was just working with all them too. Like just like randomly, I think about a week ago, he was just talking about he was just doing some workouts with DJ Moore. He's already learning from Keenan Allen. Caleb Williams is throwing to him. They already have that chemistry growing even before he got drafted. So this is great for the Bears. It really is because it's before a few years ago, they would just grab these wide receivers. Like I know a lot of people want to talk about Claypool, but like when we picked up Claypool, he was supposed to fit in. It's kind of about, especially in the off season, you got to get these players early, build that
Oh yeah.
chemistry, and it'll help, obviously the Bears in the long run. It will.
Yeah, chemistry's big. And so speaking of chemistry, this is going to relate to the next topic. We're gonna talk about the numbers that the two players have selected, right? Caleb and
Mhm.
Rome. They chose some pretty interesting numbers, things I didn't expect. So starting with Caleb, he will be representing number 18,
I've
last worn by tight end last year. Forgot his name. Can't even remember his name. Played 1 year for the Bears, but
Robert Tunyon.
Robert Tunyon. Yes, he was
Yep,
representing
from
number 18.
from the Packers. I meant. Yep.
There's been, number 18. So you got Peyton Manning. You got some studs at number 18. I think it's going to be a historic number for him. And then what is Rome's number? He picked a very interesting one. A lot of
Yeah,
relevance in Chicago.
Yeah, Rome's going to be wearing number 15. And, I reading that Caleb was going to wear number 18, it sounded like a weird number. I thought he's going to go 13 just because that's what he wore in college. I'm
Mm-hmm.
looking at that number on the NFL shop right now. Yeah, I was actually going to pick up a jersey today, but they don't have my size in one of the colors. So I got to wait a little bit. I wanted to get either an orange or the white, the alternative one. But the 18 looks really good. Williams
18 looks
18.
good.
I'm telling you, if you haven't seen you on NFL Shop, just go take a look, and it really is. And Rome Odunze at 15, what number 15? It's a cool number as well. Last worn by Brandon Marshall on the Bears.
Yeah. Yeah, very exciting time. So again, receivers with number 15 Chicago apparently do really well. So I'm very excited for him to have that number. It's a lot for us Chicago fans when it comes to numbers. There's just history-wise, you always go into Soldier Field and it's all the numbers you remember, right? You remember Singletary, all the greats, Urlacher. Their number is just embedded in my head. So let's hope we can make something with the number 15.
Yeah, these are two numbers that I didn't expect them to pick, but after seeing on the NFL Shop, I'm really happy that they did choose these numbers, and it's going to be really cool watching everybody at Soldier Field rocking a number 18 and number 15 for Rome Odunze and Caleb Williams as well. So
Exactly.
really excited about that.
All right, so let's go over the next two picks that we have. Right, we have the next two picks. We'll go over. We'll tell you what round they're in, what pick they are. Then we'll go over a little bit of how our theories have changed from the first 10 picks. We'll go over that really quickly just so we can get a refresher from last time and how much our thoughts have changed after the draft. So for the Bears, they have, obviously the draft is still underway. Day 2 starts today. And they have number 75 in the third round, which is going to happen today, and then 122 in the fourth, which will be tomorrow. And still very important picks, right? Because we got offense settled first 2 picks. So who knows what direction we go in this round, but I'm actually really excited for today. Poles does a lot of his work in day 2, day 3, so it's gonna be an important day.
Yeah, and if these players, end up slipping through these teams that, Poles will snatch him right up. He's the type of guy like, Kyler Gordon sat there for a while, and look who Kyler Gordon became for the Bears. He's becoming a great defensive piece for the, the Bears team right now. So I'm really excited to see if they do what they do at 75 and 122. Let's say if there's a player not like that they wanted at 75, they might trade back a little bit for a team and just acquire like maybe 1 or 2 more picks, maybe get 4 more like. I'm sorry, like 4 total picks left instead of having 2 total picks left. So we'll just see what happens in the next few days. I trust
Exactly.
Bowles. I trust Ryan Bowles. Ryan Pace, on the other hand, when he was our general manager, didn't really know how to do the late round draft picks, but Ryan Poles is he's learning really well, and he ever since he stepped into the shoes, he's doing very well drafting for the Bears.
Yeah, very true. Very true.
So yeah, let's
So yeah,
real quick we'll jump into like what actually happened in the top 10 and what me and Dan kind of like, one we thought were our mock top 10. And some of it, like I and some of my picks, I think I was pretty close with some of them. Dan, you were pretty close with some of yours as well. I know you had a few like bold takes, but we'll quickly discuss our mock 10 and we'll go over what actually happened. So Dan, you said me and you both said Caleb Williams would go number 1 to the Bears. That was a confirmed lock, and that did happen, and we are extremely grateful for that.
thankful.
And number 2, this was leading a few days leading up to the draft. This was kind of a gamble. I was looking on like betting websites like FanDuel and DraftKings, and they really did have those the lines at Drake May and Jaden Daniels to go number 2, like right at the same exact mark. And it was like, oh, who are they going to pick? And there was rumors that Jaden Daniels didn't want to play for Washington, but he did strike those rumors the day of the draft. So everyone's like, okay, he's going to go number 2 because some NFL insiders did say he's quote unquote the best quarterback in this draft. So number 2, Jaden Daniels went to Washington. I did pick Jaden Daniels to go to Washington, and I know you had some just a little bit different.
I had Drake May. I just want to pick a little bit something different because I thought Drake May was going to be the second ranked QB. Most of what I heard throughout the draft process, but he didn't go to the Washington. He went right after, right? He went to the 3rd pick with New England sticking at number 3, which is also a surprise to me. Busted my top 10 pretty well, but that was a really important pick. I know for Washington, the fans were actually very excited when they were displaying like the fans reacting to it. I was a bit surprised by that. I just thought Drake May would have been the guy that they were looking at, but it totally makes sense that Jaden Daniels went there. And then with number 4, right, what we expected, the first wide receiver to come off the board, Marvin Harrison Jr. went to the Cardinals, which I stated in my last podcast was, I think, the worst fit for any of the first-round talent. Yeah. He's going to be fine. He'll be fine, right? Rookie receivers with a talented QB, a building offensive line, but as long as they can get him the targets that he needs, I think he'll be a solid foundation to that team.
But, Drake May number 3, Marvin Harrison number 4. That was kind of like originally weeks ago that was going to be the top 4. It was already like settled weeks ago. I know like a week ago everything kind of changed. Everyone's like, "Oh, New England wants to shop that pick," and apparently they quote unquote had laughable offers for the number 3 pick because probably teams wanted to slide in and get Drake May at number 3, but nothing struck their that struck them to get out of number 3. So they stuck at number 3 and got Drake May. And number 4, Marvin Harrison. That is, in my opinion, that's a great pickup for Arizona. Is it the best fit for him? I don't know. We'll just have to, play it out and see. Maybe he'll be, we kind of talked about with Rome Odunze, maybe he'll be that next Larry Fitzgerald to come to Arizona. Obviously, he did play for Arizona, and I'm hoping that he will, he could fill those roles because I'm a big Marvin Harrison Jr. fan. I was really hoping if we did stick with Fields that the Bears would just trade down 1 or 2 and stick Marvin Harrison Jr., but obviously things switched a little bit. And he went number 4 to Arizona because we did go quarterback number 1.
Exactly, as predicted. So I had Marvin Harrison Jr. going 3rd, Chargers trade up. That was a bit of a risky guess there, but didn't work out the way we ultimately thought it would. Yeah. I think Joe Alt, also at number 5 going to the Chargers, was a bit of a loop for us because we didn't really understand if that was going to be the pick for them. I always thought that they would go something very, very heavily offense on pass catching wise, but still a great pickup for them.
That was also a big piece too for the Bears is what will the Chargers do? And Justin Herbert was the 9th most sacked quarterback last year. They need to help him out. They need to help him with receivers because, they got rid of Keenan Allen and they need to, and Mike Williams is gone as well. So they need to help him out with those pieces. And they decide, we'll stick to the offseason pickups and everything. And we'll just go, we got to help Justin Herbert out. He can't be flat on his back the whole game.
Very true.
So
very true.
Joe Alt, that was, months ago. That was the mock draft for literally months that Joe Alt would go number 5. And then it was rumored after, pro day that JJ McCarthy is a top, like quote unquote, top tier quarterback. And he's going to go within the top 5 and the Vikings will do whatever it takes to trade up to number 5. But Chargers stayed put, picked up Joe Alt. They're going to help protect Justin Herbert. And number 6, Dan, this was not really a shock. We kind of saw what
I
was
think all
going
of
to
us got
happen.
this.
People kind of thought, oh, are the Giants going to, move on from Daniel Jones because he didn't have that good of a season and he's starting to be a little more injury prone, like he's starting to have neck issues and whatever. But they decide, help him out a little bit on the receiving end. Malik Neighbors out of LSU.
Yeah, I think everyone had that pick. Everyone could kind of tell that it was going to be wide receiver. They like to draft their wide receivers. It's their other LSU wide receiver, and we know what happened last time they drafted an LSU wide receiver. So I think they're hoping for the same typical outcome. I know the quarterback play is going to be hard, but they can't expect Waller and Hodgins to take all of the, all the pass catching identity. They need to add some more players into there. So it's an easy pickup for them. I think that's exactly what I expected.
Great pickup for the Giants. I don't know if it's the best pickup for Neighbors just because he doesn't know if this quarterback's going to be the quarterback of the future. But, he being a top 10 pick in the NFL draft is always exciting. I feel like most of these players will go wherever these teams choose them. And I think he's seen from videos that I saw last night, I think he's happy being in New York. I saw him on the phone with Brian Dable. So congrats, Malik Neighbors, going to New York at number 6. Hopefully you can help bolster that, that offense a little bit more. Then number 7, Titans. Obviously Joe Alt got taken. That was my pick in the mock draft.
So
I said Joe Alt would go to the Titans because of that trade up if the Chargers did trade down. And they did go something a little bit different, but obviously not as different as what we thought. They did go offensive tackle for that. I keep forgetting. I don't know. I just keep forgetting this guy. J.C. Lantham, right?
J.C. Lantham, yeah.
Yep.
Latham.
So he's going to help, not keep Will Levis on his feet and not on his back as well. Unfortunately, I don't know too much about him. I know some Titans fans are excited because it's just another, tackle that can help, Will Levis out. But so they did go offensive tackle.
Yeah, it's what they needed. And I mean, regarding with the 8th pick, I think Atlanta had a lot of better options with the pick after J.C. Latham at 7. Again, they took a quarterback. They took Michael Penix Jr. So I think that's an okay pick for them. I had them originally going with Dallas Turner or
So did I.
Latu, which, just some defensive help. I know they need a better defensive identity, which they are pretty raw on defense. They could use some more talent. Yeah. It is what it is, right? It's just not. It doesn't seem too special, but I think they still got the guy they wanted. So, listen, if they're happy, then I'm excited to face them. Yeah.
I like we talked about earlier. I think it's better to just give a little leeway. Obviously a defensive player for them would have been a very good piece for the Falcons, defensive line, but they decided to just have a backup plan just in case if Kirk Cousins doesn't pan out who he's going to be, and see he gets injured. But we'll see what happens with the Falcons. We'll see what happens with Michael Penix if he'll get some playing time or whatever. Obviously, we talked about number 9. I did have the Bears mocked to have Rome Odunze, and I'm so excited that we did pick him up. Danny, you did have some a little bit different. This was my backup option too.
Yeah.
Dallas Turner. We do need one more edge piece to kind of fill in the gap where Yannick Ngakoue is, but he is no longer with the Bears to help out Montez Sweat. So I think Poles will maybe try to pick up an edge rusher later on in the draft at number 75 or 122, I believe. Yep.
So Dallas Turner did fall to the Vikings right later into the first round, which isn't upsetting, but it definitely feels a little bit more like Poles did the work he needed to reevaluate and know that this isn't a player that shouldn't be going at 9. And he got the guy he wanted, right? We got Rome. I'm very happy with that. I chose defense just because I thought we were going to follow the same trade work that Houston did, but either way, I'm very happy with the team. Very pleased with the way that the first round went for us. And I think number 10, right? Yeah. Number 10, J.J. McCarthy. That was the first trade in the first round. The Vikings got their guy. Which, as a Bears fan, I'm pretty excited. I'm pretty excited to face the Vikings. I think he's definitely talented, but I don't think he showed enough to be a top 10 drafted quarterback. I think it's a little bit crazy. I think even Bo Nix at that point, I think Bo Nix looked a little bit more tempting, especially his throwing pattern, the passes that he was able to make that I couldn't see J.J. McCarthy make. I think he's more of just a system quarterback, but Vikings got their guy, and I'm pretty excited because either Sam Darnold or J.J. week, the first time we play them, easy dub. I'll take that.
Yep. I'm excited. I'm excited for the Bears to play them. I don't think JJ is going to pan out to be the quarterback of the future for Minnesota, but you never know. We talked about the quarterbacks that we thought were going to be the quarterback for the future. They didn't pan out. Sometimes it's polar opposite. They flipped around. Look at Brock Purdy for the Niners. Just look
True.
at players like that. You never know. So the Jets did trade out. The Vikings were desperate. They wanted to make sure they got JJ McCarthy. So they traded, I believe, just one spot, right? It was just one
Yeah.
spot to.
They traded one
I'm
spot.
shocked.
They traded their 5th and 7th round pick.
I'm shocked they did that.
Yeah.
The Jets weren't going to go, quarterback.
They
Why
weren't going to
would
go
they?
quarterback. Yeah.
Maybe they were, desperate, or I'm not desperate. Maybe they were scared that Denver was going to trade with them. So they wanted to
Mm-hmm.
say, we want JJ. So they did
Yeah.
go
We'll go
JJ.
ahead of you.
Yep. So that's kind of
Not
the
bad.
top 10 for the NFL draft. Real quick, Dan, did anything else shock you in that draft? Or the first round of the draft, I meant.
I think one thing that shocked me is obviously the QB going to Atlanta. Everyone can think about that. But I think Brock
Mm-hmm.
Bowers falling all the way down to 16, going to the Raiders.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Raiders drafted a 2nd-round tight end last year. I forgot his name, but he was also pretty consistent in the play style last year. He was
Michael
part of the
Mayer, I
offense.
believe, right?
Michael Mayer, yes. I think that came out a little crazy. I think it's funny how bolstered they are on offense, but still don't have a huge name for signal caller. I think Aiden McConnell's fine. I think he'll do great. But I think a player like Brock Bowers, who isn't much hands on, he's more just pass catching and route running. He's not going to give them a lot of blocking. He's not going to help with the run offense. Because I think especially the Raiders are going to go heavy on the run like they did now that they're without Jacobs. They're going to have to go even harder. I think they're going to have to keep punishing the teams on the ground. That came out as a little bit of a shock, I'd say.
Yeah. And then a few more quarterbacks that just kind of went, just one more. Bo Nix did get drafted by the Denver Broncos, so he's going to be going to Denver to help that team out. They have Zach Wilson now, and we'll see. They'll probably have a 3 quarterback competition and see who wins that starting job. I don't know if Bo Nix will take the job right away. Maybe they'll throw Zach Wilson under the fire like he's been for the last few years and see what happens with that. But
yeah,
one pick that I'm not excited, because obviously I'm a Bears fan and division rival. I'm not excited that Minnesota had the chance to trade up and get Dallas Turner.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously I wanted the Bears to get Dallas Turner if we could. And obviously, we went Rome Odunze, and Dallas Turner is a great edge rusher. I'm hoping he doesn't cause, issues with the Bears offensive line.
Yeah. I think he's definitely a solid player. I think he'll fit right in Minnesota. It's unfortunate that he went to Minnesota, but I'm still excited for him as a player. He's going to be really good there, and I think Minnesota did make the right move. I think they had a pretty solid draft for the first round. QB inexperience, they'll see how that works. It's going to take some time, right? We went through that with Fields and every other. We haven't drafted many QBs, but just every QB we throw in there is going to have a little bit of a trouble. So I think we do see Sam Darnold starting the first few weeks, but good for Minnesota.
I agree.
Good for Minnesota.
Yep. And one more thing in this draft, I know obviously there is 30 picks. I'm not going to go through all 30 picks. One thing that shocked me is that, we talked about Buffalo a little bit. Buffalo needs they need more help, because they got rid of Stephon Diggs. They got rid of big defensive pieces like Tre'Davious White, Jordan Poyer, and they decided to trade with the Chiefs. They decided to trade out of the spot they were at, and they gave the Chiefs another great weapon. They gave him, oh my God, I blanked on his name. I'm looking right now. Xavier Worthy, the guy who Xavier Worthy, the guy who ran the fastest 40-yard dash time in the history of the combine. So, Buffalo, what are you doing? Why are you giving the Chiefs another?
Yeah, and they got. I just got today. 8 minutes ago, I got a notification saying that the Bills are targeting a wide receiver in the 2nd round with their pick, so they probably won't trade back again. I don't know if Xavier Worthy was the best option for them. Maybe they need a better number 1 guy versus someone that's like, a Jameson Williams, perhaps, a guy who can catch those deep balls and torch you. But we'll see. It's confusing what the Bills are doing. Trading again with the Chiefs, I think it's another one of those picks that's going to bite them in the rear end next year, because they're going to find out that Xavier Worthy is such an incredible worthy pick in the 1st round. And it's a wide receiver that they probably should have gotten, which they're going to get beat by the Chiefs again, the AFC. Like, ridiculous. But you know what? They can worry about themselves. If they need a wide receiver, they'll find the guy they want. So I'm sure they're doing that research just now.
Mm-hmm. So kind of moving along, obviously we just went through our top 10 and what actually happened yesterday in the draft. Let's just quickly glance at players that maybe the Bears can get at 75 and 122. I know obviously it's so far down on the draft. Some of these players might not be here, but obviously anything to help the offensive line out just a little bit more, maybe some depth in the defense a little bit to bolster them up. Obviously I see some players that we have written down here. We have offensive lineman from Boston College, Kristen Mahogany, I believe.
Christian Mahogany is correct. Yeah.
Yep. And then we have an edge rusher from Penn State, Adisa Isaac. And there's other players as well, like from the names that I'm seeing here, that it's like edge rusher, defense, offensive line, defense. So it's just helping, helping
Yeah.
Caleb get the protection he needs, helping the defense, get off that field quicker so we can bring our offense back on that quicker. So I trust Poles with whatever pick he does at 75 and 122.
Yeah.
And yeah.
It's a very high percentage that none of the players that we have listed here, we have 6 players for both picks. It's a very high possibility that they don't get picked by us, right? There's someone different. Poles likes to pick players that I haven't heard of, which is super funny because the last few years, it's always in the second, third round. I'm like, I haven't heard of this guy, right? I don't know what school he went to. I hear the name, and then all of a sudden I watch the highlight tape and I go, I know exactly why they went for him. They just want dogs, right? They definitely going to be O-line, defensive line, I think, with number 75 pick. These are names that have just gotten tossed around in a lot of mock drafts that I've read in the past week or so. A player like Brandon Dorlus, defensive lineman, Oregon. I'm seeing a lot of big schools. I see a lot of Penn State's, Oregon's, Michigan, Alabama. Those are schools that really breed right defense. I know Penn State, Jaquan Brisker. That's my guy. That's a lot of defensive teams that I see here. So I think they're gonna aim more towards defense. That's what I believe. And the one name I hear a lot is Chris Braswell. He's a name that comes up frequently on mock drafts at both 75 and 122 picks. So he has a chance to fall far or go early. But a little bit about Chris Braswell. He's a junior from Alabama, 22 years old. He was an early projected second round pick in the last few weeks. So a lot of players thought he was going to be there in the second round. He might slip to us right in the third, or he might slip to us in for pick 122. But he's earned over 1,200 snaps in his Alabama career, which I think is very impressive for a player who's going to come in and win now. He's let me just tell you his position here. He's an edge, so he's going to be playing defense. He's got a 4.6 40-yard dash, and he's got 18 career sacks, with 13 coming in 2023. So you can see why he's declared for the draft this year. He's probably in the prime, so I think he would fit really well next to Javon Dexter, Montez Sweat. I think he would fit very well. But that's just one random player that I found. There's a couple more. We can go over some players going for pick 122, but again, it is so odd and even depending on who we get. I think we should stick to, Tyler, what position do you think we should get with number 75? What position do you think is most important?
I believe, at number 75, if there's a player worth the quality at number 75, I think we should go edge rusher. Help bolster that edge a little bit. Like you're talking about, defense is a great, piece of the puzzle that the Bears can, potentially try to, snag in the draft. I think we go edge rusher, or, try, like I've said, try to go an offensive lineman. I think we go edge rusher at 75 and at 122 a little bit later on, just get an offensive lineman, a young talent that could help, compete and, for a spot. You never know. Some of these players that slip farther on could end up being, Hall of Famers. You never know.
You never know.
Obviously, like I said earlier, Brock Purdy was the last pick in the draft, and look, he made it to the Super Bowl last year.
Mm-hmm.
So
they turned some big names, and I agree with you. I think defensive line is where we go for number 75. For pick 122, I wouldn't be surprised if they go cornerback, just because of the injury history that we have. Right, Jalen Johnson being out for 2 games, or 2 games that are, the wide receivers are going to go pretty crazy on us. So I think definitely I could see a later pick being a cornerback and just picking defense these last 2 picks.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens. Obviously, that will be within the next few days. That'll be today. And then tomorrow, I believe, is rounds 3 through 7. So that's a long day tomorrow. I think it starts early in the morning. Obviously 4 rounds of drafts. That goes a little bit quicker, though. So obviously, they do stuff within commercials, and we'll see what happens with the Bears. We'll see if we trade up, see if we trade down, see if we stay put. We'll just see what happens with the Bears.
Exactly.
I'm hoping edge rusher, offensive lineman, and maybe if we can trade down a little bit, acquire some more draft picks, and add some more players to our team.
Yeah. Oh, totally.
Yeah.
So with Ryan Poles at center, I'm completely in faith of him. I think he's going to make the right picks for our team. It is a weird feeling only having 2 picks after day 1, but I think even with the 2 picks, we'll be very happy. They'll be outstanding players, and no matter what, all these players will be ready to come for training camp at Hollis Hall sometime in July. I know, Tyler, last year you were there. I believe that was the end of July when training camp started. So we got some time to wait. We got some time to wait. We'll definitely come out with a couple more podcasts. I think the next one that we come out with, we're going to try to do some comparisons as well as some projections for the team. So seeing what Caleb Williams' reach is, seeing what Rome's reach is, and seeing just where this offense comes together as well as the defense. So I think that'll be an exciting thing to come with for the next podcast and a new chapter.
Yeah, I went to a few of the days for training camp last year, and it was a lot of fun. It was very hot outside, but it was a lot of fun. It was cool to watch all the offense and the defense do drills. And I've never been to House Hall before. It's a cool spot. So I'm hoping that once those tickets get released, I'm gonna try to snag some tickets to go a few days this year to training camp again. See our new offense, see our new defense as well. And it'll be a fun time. So we're going to try to go at least a few days, and we're going to try to get our perspectives on our what the offense looks like, what the defense looks like. Obviously, people see it on Twitter because people take videos in the stands, but we want to see with our own eyes how
Exactly.
kind of what the what Bears training camp is like and how that offense and defense is going to click. So
yeah.
Dan, lastly, let's just real quick. Obviously, it's been all over Twitter. Let's just quickly discuss that Bears stadium. I know we talked slightly about it earlier, and then we got into our mock draft. But the Bears it's going to be, they say, around after everything's done, it's going to be potentially $4 to $5 billion for the whole entire stadium. And it's going to be, obviously, it's going to be a dome. It's not going to have a retractable roof. It's going to have a fixed dome. They're going to have lighting that comes in, so that's going to. They said that it'll feel like an outside a stadium, especially with the glass roof.
Yeah.
It'll feel like you're outside, even though you're inside as well. And like you said earlier, you got that cool view where you can see the skyline. I love the mock for that. That looks so cool.
Like better than what the other mock-ups were. I know Arlington Park was a lot of fun. I think it still wasn't necessary for what the Bears needed. I think rebuilding exactly the area we're in right now is going to be the best option. And again, it looks incredible. It looks so beautiful, and it's one of those things that you build it and they will come, and like that's what we need right now. That's kind of the intention of the Bears, is just start fresh, give this team a new feel for people around the world to start rooting for Chicago. And I'm not particularly happy about the turf idea, but again, I can't be against it. I think it's gonna be a very beautiful field. I think it's gonna feel a lot like SoFi, where it's a little bit outdoors and indoors, where I know Kevin Warren, the CEO, said that it would feel like you still need to wear sunglasses, like where you still see sunlight. It still feels like a hot breeze. And I'm very excited for it. It's going to be huge. It's going to fill a lot of the areas. They talked about the synergy they want with connecting it to certain museums and stuff like that. So it's going to feel a lot more for the people who aren't average Bears fans. People who can stop by Chicago, hang out a day near the Bears facility. It's going to feel like a brand new culture, a brand new space. And I think it's going to fit in. But I think what made me most surprised is they said 2028. That's the final date for them.
That's soon. They're saying they're going to do construction in the years that obviously they're building it on top of where existing Soldier Field is. Like they're going a little bit south. Basically, where the stadium's going to be is where the Waldron lot is, where everybody tailgates. That's where the stadium is going to kind of stay put. And then I know Kevin Warren kind of said they're still going to keep the pillars for Soldier Field to add, the historic value.
Exactly.
People are like, oh, I was talking to people like, no, they can't tear this down. It's a historic landmark, but technically in 2002, once they did those renovations, it was deemed not a historic landmark anymore. So they can do whatever they want with it.
Exactly.
So yeah, the pictures are so cool. I know the one thing people on Twitter were kind of making fun of, where am I going to park? There's no parking lot at all.
Yeah, that's a struggle still, but I mean, we're just gonna have to get used to it. I think they'll figure out something parking wise. The one thing that excited me a little bit was that the timeline of it, right? Let's say projected 2028, it does finish. That would be Caleb Williams' 5th-year option. So it would be very interesting. That would be very interesting to see if that, right when the stadium is built, if Caleb is continuing his success, or if we're finding his successor. And that would be another interesting year, right? Because then that would be the year where we give him the contract, or we figure out a new QB situation. Again, 4 years down the line, there's so many possibilities here, but very excited for that idea as well, because that's going to be, going to the first Bears game. When we were there yesterday, it was kind of a feeling of like, wow, this place isn't going to be the same in 4 years. This place is small, not very excited about it, but it's going to look good.
Yeah, I'm excited for what the future, the new stadium's going to hold. Obviously, we don't know the name of it yet. They just had a thing that said stadium on the side of it. So we'll see if a sponsor ends up buying, partnership into the stadium and they put their own tagline on it. Or we'll see what what ends up happening with that. But
Yeah.
I am so excited for the future for, obviously the Bears where they're going to play. And hopefully you get some Final Fours there. We get a Super Bowl there. That's what Kevin Warren said. I want Final Fours. I want the Super Bowl here. If the Olympics end up happening again, he wants to,
Yeah.
bring the Olympics back to, and it'll bring a lot, more people coming to the city of Chicago. It'll be another destination when they go to the Field Museum or they go to the Adler Planetarium. They'll
Yeah.
be like, oh, wait, this is, I could go to this stadium too.
Mm-hmm.
So the mock pictures are awesome, and
Yeah.
I'm
It would
beyond
be a
excited.
great place
Hopefully,
to host a Super
Mhm.
Bowl too. Could be a
Yep.
place to host a Super Bowl. Who knows?
Mhm.
Be good for Chicago. I'm very excited.
Yeah.
And that's a new chapter in the Bears, and another chapter opens. Today's day 2 of the draft. We're very excited to see who the Bears pick up to become
Yep.
part of that lasting legacy, who might have a chance to play in the new stadium in 4 years. So
Mhm.
new chapters every day.
All right, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching D&T in the 773. We're going to try to come back with one more podcast episode after the whole entire draft's kind of over, maybe some reactions on what the Bears do with their pickups. And we're going to see, obviously a new look offense, new look defense for the Bears. And, we're going to try to do as many podcast episodes as we can. We're not going to obviously be able to come to you guys every day, but we're going to, we love talking about Chicago sports. We love talking about the Bears. We love talking about the Bulls. We just, like I said, I don't know if I've been more of a happy Bears fan in the last 5 years, just with everything. I'm just beyond excited for what the future holds with the Bears. I know, obviously, the last few years I keep telling people, oh, the Bears are going to get 11 wins, and everybody's laughing in my faces. And I'm hoping that's not the case. I'm hoping that I could say, yeah, the Bears can get 14 wins. And people are like, yeah, that could be it. So I'm beyond excited. We're going to try to come back to you guys real soon after the draft's over to talk about the other pickups for the Bears and, and then what the offseason holds with the training camp and any other offseason moves that, the Bears might end up happening. So,
yeah. Bear down, Chicago
Bears.
Very excited. Let's kick it off again. This is the second episode of our return, so
yeah,
the third one might be even better. You never know. Sorry for this. This one might be a little bit of a shorter one. There's less information to go over, but again, love you guys. D&T in the 773. Check us out next week.
We do appreciate all the, the listening and the, all you guys that watch. Like I tell people, I'm not expecting millions of views. I even if I get like a few views, I'm just so excited to just talk about sports again with Dan because quick story. We used to do a show back in elementary school. We did a morning show where we like wrapped the news. It was so cool. And then, back when we were in college, we were like, why don't we kind of bring that back? So in college, we had this show going on in college. We had all the equipment provided to us by DePaul, which we were really fortunate, very grateful for. And then after college, it's a little hard because they didn't have these websites yet where you could, stream your podcast
Combine
and upload it
yeah.
super easy. So just plug your microphone in and, start talking. And that's why we're super excited, to continue going with this and talk about the Bears, talk about the Bulls, talk about all the Chicago sports coming up. And we're just beyond excited. So,
oh yeah.
Cool.
Great time of the year. Well, thank you for everything, Tyler. Go ahead and bear down. I appreciate you, Tyler, for always putting in the full effort. Yesterday was a lot of fun as well. This guy knows everything about football, so I always ask him. He asks me, but more so the time I ask him questions because he knows the answer. So thank you for always having the answer, and thank you for setting everything up.
I appreciate it, man. No, especially, me and him are always constantly texting back and forth all these different things because we like to get more knowledge with the Bears and, other Chicago sports. And I've just always loved sports. Dan loves sports as well. And we just, it's so cool that we have a cool connection that we, with sports. And, obviously we're great friends as well. And being at Soldier Field yesterday with all of our other buddies as well, throwing around the football on the field was just so electric and so fun. And I keep saying it, but we're just beyond excited for the 2024-2025 Bears season and the future of the Chicago Bears.
Can't even explain. Yeah. Yep. We'll have to tell you more in the next episode, right?
Yep. All right, guys. Thank you guys so much. We really do appreciate it. Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy the rounds 2 through 7 for the NFL draft. And we'll be back to you soon to talk about the Bears pickups and what the future holds for the Chicago Bears.
Maybe I might have my nails painted next one. We'll see. Thanks, guys.
All right, guys. Bear down. We'll see you guys later. Have a great day.